What's up, everybody? It is cold out there. We are not in Tennessee right now. Actually, there's a little bit of snow on the ground. And we don't have a boat hooked up to the truck right now. A boat hooked up to the Tundra. We don't have that set up. Today's a really special day, though. Today's the day I pick up my new boat from Wieda's Marine. I can't wait to show you guys this one. It's gonna be a lot of fun. I got some things, some different stuff I put on this boat this year. Some stuff I switched it up a little bit. It should be a good time. I'm hoping it's all ready to roll. Then we have about 30 more minutes to get there. We'll be ready to roll. All right, guys, we're here. Wieda's Marine. I got my buddy Steve rigged. He's been slaving nonstop. So we're gonna see what we got. I'm excited. Obviously, got a lot of boats right here. A lot of different boats running around.
This one? Nope.
No, it's not this one. It's not this one. You've been working hard on this one, haven't you?
Yes, I have.
There you go. That's what I'm talking about, man. She looks good. Heck yeah. I like it, man. All right, so guys, Steve, man, good looking color. So it's real similar to my last year. I have a little bit different, a little bit different gray. You guys don't get to see my boat unwrapped very often. So this is it, new Triton, 21 TRX. Look, you know, last year I swapped over to Mercury and I put her through hell last year. I'm not gonna lie. And I was really impressed with it. So I stick with Mercury. I'm really excited to run that motor again. I got that Bob's jack plate, the 10-inch jack plate, 10-foot poles. You gotta have these 10-foot poles. I'm telling you all, if you are looking for, the problem is if you don't have room in your garage, that's the issue, isn't it?
Yes.
That's the issue with it. So, I mean, we have it all set up. Now, you've been working day in and day out over the last few days, just slaving away. And this is a really cool thing I want to shout out Steve. He's always been looking out for me. He's always been innovative, looking out for my stuff. And he set up my battery compartment last year for, basically I had 6 batteries last year. And I have a spot where I'm gonna put my other one. And I swapped over to these brand new MillerTech batteries. These are lithium batteries. I have 3 lithiums right here. These are all of my trolling motor batteries. This one's actually gonna be a backup 36 right there. And then I have 2 starting batteries from MillerTech starting batteries, and ultimately that's for all my switches, all that stuff, my starting battery, but also a lot of my electronics. So power poles, all that good stuff. So I'm gonna have plenty of power. And then of course you gotta have the power pole charge. That is like, I'm telling y'all, I'm not sponsored by Power Pole, none of that stuff, but that is the most amazing charger that I've ever used in my entire life. It's a must-have. If you fish a lot and you're really serious about bass fishing, you gotta have that because it will save you day in and day out. If you're a little bit of a lead foot like me, like it's always on the trolling motor, another big deal. That's awesome. You got it set up perfectly. Well, I'm sort of going through some stuff. It's sort of like a night. You get that new boat mojo. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You gotta make sure it's like, all right, baby, be good to me. The last one was pretty dang solid, so.
I got it labeled sonar.
Did you freaking set this up right here?
No, this one.
So you did that?
Yeah.
Dude, you're the freaking man.
See right here?
Okay, show me what's going on. See that?
This is your main boat power right here.
Okay.
Okay, your 2 fused inline fuses there for your power poles.
Yep.
Okay, this right here is your C-Clear.
I got you.
Okay, and down in here there's 2 maxis.
Yep.
This is your dedicated that runs all the way to the console and to the front of the boat.
Awesome.
And when you get to the console and the front of the boat, there's individual fuse holders up there for each one.
Up there, we'll look at those here in a second too.
Yes.
So that's ultimately just shutting off all the power to the sonars.
Yes.
All of the grounds.
With all your new stuff like your Active Target and your Mega 360s and stuff like it, they cannot be left on all the time. They have to be on switchable power.
Awesome. See, that's why I come here. This is the thing. Like, it's a one-stop shop for me. Obviously, Steve's always taking care of my boats. He's always thinking outside the box. And the thing with Steve it's even better is like, I'm always like, hey, can you do this? He's like, yeah, don't worry about it. I got an idea. And he's actually set up little custom things throughout my boat that I'm not even thinking about. He's like, hey, I got you. It makes my life a heck of a lot easier. It normally takes me about an hour to go through everything and dive into everything, but it's really nice when you get it set up perfectly, because at the end of the day, you just, get out there, you go fishing, you ain't got to worry about none of that stuff. So that's definitely here's a little switch, a really cool thing that he started for me last season. So if I ever have an issue with my batteries, or say one of these batteries goes out, I'm just sort of planning for just that random occurrence of something happening. I can unplug this right here, and I have this connected to a 36 volt lithium, and I just plug it right into that 36 volt lithium, bam, I have power. So that's just a backup, ultimately on a backup of a backup, and that's saving me day in and day out, that if there's that point in time, something freak happens, and one of these batteries goes out on my trolling motor, I have power. And that's the difference of winning Angler of the Year, qualifying for Red Crest, or ultimately winning a tournament. And those little small details really matter a lot. To the cockpit, I have, these are the raised seats. I always put this in my Triton. The raised seats, they have a little extender down there. I like to be lifted up a little bit, especially when you're running 2 graphs. It's just nice to have that. They still have that freaking issue, but it's not as bad. I'm gonna see that sucker, hold up. Yeah, what the heck? They put blue? That is so freaking weird.
That we all took bets and said it was to match his wrap.
I don't know what the heck they did there. Okay, so at the back, oh sorry. All right, we're here at the console. At the cockpit, I spent a lot of my time idling. This year, I've kept it very similar to my same setup as last year. I have a Lowrance HDS Live, active imaging transducer. I have this Humminbird Helix. I have a little bit of that Lake Master. I have the Sea Maps. I have the best of both worlds. There's times when one will just give me a little bit different view than the other, and that's a big deal. That's a huge deal if it just shows me one more point or one more hump or a high spot or a place that I wouldn't have fished normally. That's a big deal to me. On my switches, for the most part, it's pretty simple. Your powers, your accessory switches. I do have a C-Clear power harness hooked up to all of these units. That's a big deal for me personally. It's overall, when you're spending thousands and tens of thousands, a lot of times even $10,000 on a setup like this, to spend a little bit of extra money and make sure you're getting real power, clean power to your units where you're actually getting the maximum out of them, is a pretty small investment to make sure you're getting that premium deal. So that's definitely important. Obviously I have all my switches and stuff with my fuel's empty, PSI, trim, and all that good stuff. Now, one thing I do have in here is a sonic hub. I like to listen to some music while I'm out there on the water, idling around looking for a new spot. Turn the jams up. If it's cold outside, it is what it is. If it's warm outside, it's gonna be able to have a little bit of something. And I also use the sonic. I use that NEMA network to do a lot of different things. Hooking up to your motor, hooking up to your batteries. There's a lot of really cool stuff you can do on this Lowrance. So I'll show you guys that here a little bit later. Now, we're slowly working our way up to the bow. I love the center compartment of a Triton because for me, overall, I take this little deal out right here. You can put your rods in this position right here, but I take this guy out, boom, and I have all of my tackle set up perfectly down through here. On the sides, I can put my terminal tackle. I have a system of exactly how I set this up, and I can put a lot of tackle in there. For me personally, if you get too much, where you have short amount of places to put stuff, and I like an open compartment where I can ultimately customize. You see, I have these little deals that slide into them. You can really make your small little parts if you want to make hey, this is going to be your soft plastics, and you want to take a little room over here and you want to put crankbaits or want to do whatever, how you want to organize it, you can make it as small or as big as possible. And that's one thing that I do love about their setup in this particular deal. I've really enjoyed it over the last few years. I might do a little something over here up top. I might actually, Aaron does a couple of things. Amar does something that I'm gonna have to holler at him and ask him something. I might have to add and customize a little deal up here though. That's the deal. Right there is gonna be my tackle. Let's see here. Of course, you're gonna put your life jackets, all that good stuff in here, and then my rods. But we're gonna check out the bow. Ooh, what do we got up here? I don't know, guys. You know, I'm always switching stuff up. Do I have all three? Do I not? This is what it is. Here we go. So I switched. I do not have a Garmin on my front of my boat this year. I went out with Hunter Schreirock over the last month or two, and I got a chance to look at the new Active Target, and I was really, really impressed. So I had ordered that, and that is what I have. I have 2 Lowrances. I had this graph mount right here is the Boat Logix. This is what I've been running the last few years. Truly phenomenal overall. That Boat Logix mount's really sturdy. I've never had an issue with them. And this is a brand new 3 graph mount that they have set up, including I have a Humminbird, I have a Humminbird 360, and I have the Ghost trolling motor. So this is the first year of me running the Ghost. So I'm gonna see what she's all about. I'm gonna switch it up this year. I don't have a sponsorship for trolling motors either, and I just wanted to try something a little bit different and try that Ghost. I've heard some good things about them. I'm using them in the cut boats. So we're gonna let you guys know an update on the Ghost throughout the year and let you guys know what's going on there. Of course, I have the 360. I do like that Mega 360. It's nice to sort of have an overall view of what's going on out there, and if you're in shallower water, you're able to really see if your grass flat, or if there's a void in the grass, or if it's thicker, a thicker patch out there off the edge. You can really get a picture-like view of what's going on. So this is really the setup. I mean, it's I'm excited to get her out in the water, but it's going to be a lot of fun to dial these units in over the next few days. We have only about a few short days before we're going to be here at Red Crest, and so I know it's going to take a little while to get these things dialed in, but it's looking really pretty, really neat. I appreciate the guys. Steve, I appreciate you working hard on this one, buddy. Weed's coming. I like her, man.
I just kind of like strolled in here, like all
sneaking all in.
I heard you like up here breaking down your 9 graphs. Okay, like so everybody, you're doing the whole like serious, pro thing. But my question is, how do you keep from driving this beautiful Triton into a bridge pylon while you're staring at all your graphs? That's what I want to know. You know what I mean? Because if you put that many graphs on my boat, I'd just be like, man, I'd be like, oh, God, do I want to look at the Humminbird? Do I want to look at the Sea Map? Do I want to look at the Lake Master? But no, I'm just teasing. I'm gonna run 4 graphs on my boat. Yeah, so I'm gonna do 2 Humminbirds, 2 Lowrances. Yeah. And then I think we were just having a conversation a minute ago. I think I'm gonna run my dedicated 2D sonar, but I'm staying with the Ultrex. I'm staying with the Ultrex.
I mean, that's the thing is
I'm just gonna try. I'm gonna stay with it. I'm not sure yet.
Yeah, I'm not either. And that was the thing. It's each obviously the trolling motor thing. I feel like as I look in the last few years, I feel like the Fortrex is probably the most consistent trolling motor on the market.
Right.
But then you don't have a spot lock or anchor button. So if you're out there offshore, I mean, I know like Brian Thrift, I think he still uses I'm pretty sure he still uses a Fortrex. I know for the last few years because he just ultimately got comfortable with it. So but I think at some point in time, when you're in big waves, like you can't not have
you gotta have spot lock technology. Now I'll tell you what I like about the Ghost is I've run the Ghost. I know you haven't really run one yet. I've run it. The Ghost is a little quieter.
It is.
Not in the head. The head's not as quiet, but the actual lower unit it's a little quieter. And the lift assist is it's featherweight. So it's featherweight. Okay, so. My only reason that I'm not running the Ghost yet was when I was down in Florida on one of our demo boats, we had a Ghost, and when you pull it up, to pull it out of the weeds, okay, to clear your weeds, it has a shutoff switch in the bracket. So you can't pull the trolling motor all the way out of the water and spin the weeds off, but it has a little more power than the Ultrex. So what I had to do to clear the weeds was just kind of like do a 360 with the trolling motor. Yeah. But I fish shallow 90% of the time. Yeah. So I'm staying with the Ultrex. Yeah. I
feel that only thing that I had an issue, and this is like we're just talking trolling motors. It's always fun to talk about because it's like they're always changing. There's always something new coming out. Yeah. And like the thing is, like even like back in the day, you used to run a motor gut all the time.
Tour edition.
Remember that?
Metal pedal.
Yeah, you did. I remember that. And it's like it was like the
you can't have a trolling motor. you guys got them flimsy plastic pedals. You're gonna break them, boy. You need a metal pedal. I was convinced though. I had my old Tour Edition 109s, you know.
I remember that. But
I didn't even run graphs. I was a river fisherman. I ran flashers. up until 2001, I didn't run. Yeah, 2001 is the first time I had a GPS. I ran a flasher. Just on the dash. I didn't even have anything on the bow.
you know what it was? Is you just how many logs you flipped those seasons?
Oh, yeah.
It's like,
really.
there's a log.
Dude, but you know, I just had like, you know, your flipping stick and like, but I think it's worth talking about, and like, you know this stuff.
Yeah.
You guys know this stuff, but like, look, there's still a lot of, like, I learned a lot of stuff taking that flipping stick, sticking it in there. There's sand, there's gravel, there's clay.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
I mean, you laugh about it like you get the flipping stick and it's like 2 feet and 2 deep, but there's a lot said for some of that old school mentality, man. Like, you do that, right? Yeah.
The biggest time I feel like I do that is in Florida. Because it has to have a certain amount of hardness at the bottom. There can be actually a little bit of silt. But you can get in the area and be like, and a lot of times you can't see the bottom. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like a little tannic. And you know that, like, I mean, in Florida it's a little different because there's a lot more silt. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's a lot more silt, and you hit that. But actually, I learned that one from Scott. Scotty Too High. I learned a lot from Scott about Florida fishing. And he's like, oh, you know, he'd be out there in Okeechobee and he'd put his rod in the water, and he'd be like, man, it sunk 6 inches. I'm like, he's like, oh yeah, that's good enough. They can spawn there.
Right.
Or it sinks 12 inches, and you're like, no.
That's a big deal
That's a
too
huge
on
deal.
your river systems. Like if you're fishing river systems, even when the spawn's over, the fish will tend to, they want to congregate in harder bottom areas. And so, you know, a lot of times in river systems too, you know, you take your rod, you poke it through the silt a little bit and go, okay, there's some hard clay, there's some pea gravel or something, because they'll fan that out. But yeah, that's old school before. That's before like you guys like had 10 depth finders on your boats, you know.
This is the thing though. People get this whole thinking like mentality that it's always you know, you gotta have this, you gotta have that. Don't get me wrong. I do definitely electronics have played a huge role in my career over the years. Do not take that for. I'm not saying it hasn't, but there is something about being able to look at the bank and just feel that, like, okay, I need to do this, or hey,
natural, visceral fishing. Yes,
there is a little bit of that. That sometimes if you get so caught up with these, sometimes you just don't let things play out throughout the day. You're so caught up with this, and they're blowing up over there, and the birds are diving, and you're sitting over here looking at this dang graph. You're like, boom, 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 they're blowing up, and you're just sitting there like. So there's a lot of paying attention that still has to happen outside of just staring at the graphs.
Absolutely. And the thing I think too, like, I think it's important because you got a lot of young fans that watch these videos, and me as a dealer, you know, we got a lot of young people coming into it, and like, I think, you know, sometimes I see a certain level with buyers of, you know, they're like, well, I can't get a boat with 4 HDS 12s. Here's the thing. Take what you have first and know how to use it.
Absolutely.
You can have 9 graphs on your boat, and if you don't know how to use one, you're not able to process the information. I recommend for the young angler starting out, I don't care what you have. You have a Mark 5X. That's all you have, okay? Learn the machine that you have. Learn how to use it. And once you learn how to use it, then start worrying about upgrading and getting all the bigger and better stuff. And I think like an angler starting out would be better off to just have one brand of depth finders. Yep. On the bow and on the bow and on the dash.
Agree.
Now, at your level that you're fishing, and many of our customers, even at the level they're fishing, yeah, there's a reason for this. That, you know, and you've gone over that in your videos, I've gone over it, but I think, like, you know, for the young angler out there watching this videos, you do not need all of this to catch a bass. You do not need it all to catch a bass.
That is the biggest thing you could possibly say. Guys, he is 100% right. Sean is a very, very good fisherman, very good friend of mine, but also he is right. Like, I remember even looking back at like a turn, or just actually fun fishing in Texas in a John boat and buying like a $500 Lowrance graph from Academy and going out there, and that was a decent graph, but you know, these things are like $2,000, $3,000 plus. You're talking about, you know, power switches, you're talking about, you know, cables, you're talking about NEMAs, you're talking about all this stuff, Ethernets, you're talking about chips, C-maps, so there's a lot that goes into that. But you could take something, I literally took out a $500 unit, went graphing out in the middle of the lake, found a school of bass with a, you know, with something that you don't have to have it. You do not. That is a very good point. That is a valid point.
Yeah.
All right, so we are going through everything right now just to make sure everything feels good. Those guys are really, it feels good, man. I do like, the thing is, I do like this bracket on that ghost. It feels pretty good. This is actually right here as well. This is a BoatLogix 360 mount that connects to this ghost. I actually have those guys send me that as well. And then when it gets really rough outside, they have a stabilizer mount, or really rough, and like later on in the season, I'll have a stabilizer mount on the ghost as well for the 360 ultimately, because I don't want that 360 banging around on the big long runs, or if I'm trying to get, you know, big waves on St. Clair, or, you know, Lake Erie, or any of those places. You just don't want to. It's one more thing that sort of can keep it from jarring around. You'll see I put the active target. I have this guy set the active target right here. And the other thing is like if I'm in super shallow water, I might move this, but that's where I'm gonna have it right now. And then the other thing is this is like a 3-in-1. So I'm excited to sort of see how this one plays out. So I'll actually have my side scan, and then I'll also have down, and I'll have my actual 2D. Now I don't know how good the 2D is gonna be. So I'm gonna give you guys an update on that one as well, how great the 2D is, because I know like in the back, I would rather have like a regular puck for my 2D rather than having like a 3-in-1. I'd rather just have a regular puck. I think I get a better image. So we're gonna see if it's the same way up here, and if it's not, you might wanna probably grab one of them. There we go. All right, so breaking down the back of the boat, we sort of talked about it briefly, but the 10-foot blades, that is the best shallow water anchor I've ever used, hands down. I'll tell you why. Just ultimately, like I said before, you can get deeper, and at the end of the day, just a couple feet can make a big difference, especially when you're trying to lock down on a grass fight or something like that. I'll tell you what, going to the back of a jack plate. Jack plates, there's a couple different jack plates on the market, but Bob's jack plates, personally in my opinion, they're the fastest jack plate on the market, they're the best made jack plate on the market, and they're the sweetest looking one too. This is a carbon fiber. It's an awesome looking jack plate. I mean, it truly is. I've been running them for the last few years. It truly is, in my opinion, the best jack plate on the market. Steve, what do you think?
They are a jack plate all their own, that's for sure. They seem to be really good on their machine work.
Yeah.
Their tolerances are tighter. Everything seems to be smoother.
Yeah.
We don't, you know.
You don't sell a ton of them.
No, we don't sell a ton of them. You know, we do about 4 or 5 a year because, you know, most manufacturers don't use them. They use ours.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
And that's what I was saying. Like it takes a little bit more. You have to order them, special order them. But if you're getting into a new boat, definitely check out Bob's, because at the end of the day, I mean, these guys see it every day. They see all the jack plates out there, and this sucker right here, it is truly. I mean, they know their stuff. Those guys over there do a phenomenal job. They're great. Steven, those boys over there, they do an awesome job. Going to the motor, you know, Mercury makes a really good motor. I didn't know exactly, running it all year last year. I've been swapping out props. So if you have a Triton 21 TRX, I'm gonna run the 23 Fury this year, at least starting off, and sort of see what we got and then go from there. That's what I'm gonna start off with. I know a lot of the guys are running, DC's running at 24. I'm gonna sort of see where that is when I turn this sucker in, and I actually go and run him a little bit, and then sort of get it dialed in from there. So, all right, y'all, I'm so excited to get you guys out in the water here very soon. We're gonna dive into exactly setting up these graphs. I'm excited to see how that active target ultimately compares to the Garmin Panoptics. I mean, that is something, we're gonna do a comparison here very, very soon as well. So make sure to check back on the channel. I'm gonna get this thing out in front and get a picture. Man, I can't wait to get her home. Last step in picking up a new boat is filling her up. This is a very important step. Let me sort of pop it open right there. The reason why, the tank is empty right now. This is obviously, hopefully, the empty as it's going to be. We don't want to be running out of gas anytime soon. That's the thing. Once I get as much as I possibly can get into this tank, I know, like, hey, I have 54.2 gallons or 51.3 or whatever it is. And then ultimately I can really gauge it off of my Lowrance units. I can sort of gauge like how much gas this motor's running. I sort of know from the smart gauge at the end of the day, like how much I've actually used as far as gallons goes. So that gives me a sort of a reference on how far I can run. If I need to get gas, I need to go do it. Fortunately, on the MLF side, I don't have to make too far runs, but you might be surprised. This year we have a couple events that I might make a little bit of a run. So I want to know exactly how much I have in here. All right, y'all, just filled her up. For some reason, I don't know, it said 40.3. That is not correct. So either I have an air bubble in there, or potentially Sean and the guys at Wieda might have put like 10 gallons in there. So it should be right about 50 gallons. What we're gonna do is we're gonna drive a little bit longer and see if I can fill up a little bit more gas in it. Well, we'll find out. I'm gonna call. All right, y'all. So we just called Steve at Wieda Marine. Called the guy at 9:30, working overtime. So thank you, buddy, for picking up. So they actually did put like 12 gallons, about 10 or 12 gallons into the boat. So I don't know exactly how much it'll hold, but I'm gonna say it's gonna be 51, 52 gallons. So that's what I'm gonna go on. I was like, wait a second, 40 gallons? Hold up, time out, cut the tape. I was like, this is not real life. Thankfully, we're good there. I got to give a big shout out to all the guys at Wieda Marine. Sean, it's always good seeing my good buddy Sean. We'll probably have him on the channel a little bit more this year. I got a couple of fishing trips sort of planned I want him to sort of join me with. So thank you guys so much for watching. We will see you very soon with an update on all the electronics and what we're all thinking about what's going on. So thank you all. See you next time.